Oh man, my coin! So today we're going to be reviewing the classic Harrison Ford movie,
Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Anyway, so the movie starts off with Indiana Jones in a restaurant where he talks to Lao She.
And Lao She basically is trying to make a deal with Jones, basically in terms of the diamond in exchange
He's
for...
introduced to Willie Scott, who's one of the performers there, and she's actually from America. And basically, they are basically laughing to themselves because Indiana Jones just drank poison, in which Lao She holds the antidote. After realizing that he's just drank the poison, a fight starts to begin.
And that fight basically continues on for a little while one person is looking basically for the antidote and another one is looking for basically the diamond.
And while Indiana Jones goes behind that metal gong, they basically go through a window in which they basically fall down until a car underneath actually comes to get them, and that's where Short Round appears.
That's one way to recreate that scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Anyway, they get onto a full-on car chase.
And in terms of car chase itself is pretty impressive. And considering we have Dan Aykroyd in this movie, yes, he's in it, it really does give a Blues Brothers vibe. Anyway, as they get away, basically they walk off into the sunrise and live happily ever after. That's the end of the first 10 minutes of the movie. That's like a short film.
As they are basically going by China, the pilots of the plane basically decide to abandon and ditch them.
Why? Because they were spies all along. And in turns, basically, it's like now, basically, our heroes here have to try to find a way to land the plane. But none
Indiana
of them
Jones
know.
cannot fly a plane.
But none of them know how to fly a plane, which is weird considering one knows how to fly a car, but whatever. Anyway, so basically they use a raft to basically, escape. And after escaping, they basically seemingly end up in India for the most part.
On which they're told about the 3 stones, and once they are basically, Indiana Jones is going to go on a quest to find them because there's some evil that lurks that have stole the stones and even taking the people's children.
Law.
Okay, basically, so they are invited to be guests at a hotel at the palace they stay in, and basically after that they attend a dinner scene in which Indiana Jones talks to other archaeologists about the Thuggee cult.
But first things first, apparently I had to be fed basically various different types of animals like eels and cockroaches and monkey brains. I am serious.
Anyway, so Indiana Jones pushes a statue into the wall, leading into basically the first part of the temple, which is a big trap.
And said trap, it's actually about to crush them, and it's literally, of course, you know who has to come rescue, but of course, it's obvious that she is terrified of bugs.
And she ends up accidentally locking them in again, but they actually escape before it's over.
Help! It's crunching my legs! Anyway, so inside said Temple of Doom, basically, we randomly get into the Jaden realm of basically where everyone is starting to do the ritual dance and sacrifices.
Anyway, this is the Mola Ram. He's basically the leader of the Thuggee cult, and they basically decide to perform a sacrifice in which is called Kali Ma, who rips his heart out.
Yeah, it's really kind of a little graphic, and no wonder the PG rating got pushed after this movie.
So they basically decide to execute him by putting him down into a big fire.
And during said fire, everyone's just randomly deciding to randomly start dancing in the middle of it. It's just so random.
Until the guy completely burns to death along with his own heart. Indiana Jones ends up trying to steal the stones, but he gets caught by the Mola Ram and the other guys, and basically he is told that Mola Ram tried to get all 5 stones, and that's why he's having a lot of people dig for it. And he's going to get all this blood known as the blood of Kali, which they forcefully make him drink.
Actually, they make him drink the blood of Kali. That's the way to say it. And it turns basically as a result of that one, it equals...
Well, now he finally feels evil. And this is an explanation of how they're making all these slave children digging for all the final stones. And that's the Thuggee. That's like one of the main guys that fights Indy. Anyway, Willie Scott... Yeah, Willie Scott is sent for a sacrifice, as you've seen the other guy did. And Indiana Jones is evil, as you can see, and he's basically doing everything that the other guys are doing. And she's about to...
Naturally, Willie Scott is basically like, snap out of it, Indy!
And before you know it, before she actually does get burned alive, Short Round comes to rescue, and he burns Indiana Jones, causing him to snap out of it.
Well, that escalated quickly.
And he plays a joke with Short Round just to know that he's just playing along, and they decide to fight the other bad guys, and everyone is just happy about it, I guess. Anyway, they free all the children with the chains, and not before long, they go on to the mine carts.
And during said minecarts, it equals one of the most creative scenes probably in the movie.
With a voodoo doll.
Yeah, go figure. And just watch out, those hurt.
Yeah, and Indiana Jones is affected by it. So after the fight, he finally, zip lines to the cart. And unfortunately, what Short Round was told is they should take the left tunnel, but they take the right, which is more dangerous. And the others follow along in pursuit.
Yeah, and during said following along in pursuit, basically, it equals a giant chase. And admittedly, it is a pretty cool over-the-top sequences. There have been a lot of movies and shows that have basically played tribute to this, including Scooby-Doo at one point.
And basically, when they're almost about to hit the end of the tracks, Indiana Jones starts to get the cart out of the way.
So as they start the cart, why is this thing not moving?
Anyway, they get out and notice there's a bunch of water coming in. And so when they head towards the bridge, they find out they are outnumbered because the Molaram beat them to it.
And as a result, said Molaram are basically causing, well, Indy a little bit of a struggle on the bridge, which will ultimately result in him doing another famous scene of cutting the bridge to try to get away.
And Indiana Jones tells Willie and Short Round to, tie themselves to the rope bridge because like you said, he's going to do something very crazy, in which Willie Scott mentions that is too. And so he starts cutting the bridge and causing everybody to fall. And he's pursued by eaten by crocodiles. Anyway, Indiana Jones finally has his final fight scene with the Molaram.
Yeah, after literally almost and basically it equals a final fight on the bridge. There have been a lot of famous stuff that have ripped this.
He tried to rip his heart out.
Literally, and it's freaking nuts.
Anyway, he finally punches him in the face, but that's not enough to beat him because now they're fighting over the stones, the final stones.
And said poison is starting to get to them.
Anyway, Indiana Jones mentions that he betrayed Shiva, and the final stones are ripped out, and when he touches it, burns his hand, and Indiana Jones catches it while the Molaram falls down the cliff.
Yeah, presumably to his death, even though it's not.
Devoured by crocodiles, so yes. Anyway, the British Army with the Indian Army finally come in and beat the rest of the guys while Willie Scott chants, finally, it's about time, and Indiana Jones survived that whole ordeal.
Yeah, go figure, man. Nothing could get rid of this guy.
Oh no. And he didn't even lose his hat. He doesn't like losing his hat. Anyway, they return back to that Indian village where all the free children are saved, and basically they're all running around back to their families.
Yeah, basically it's a happy ending, and then years later, Hey Arnold, a Jungle movie would literally take a lot of stuff from this.
Anyway, he returns the stones, well, just one stone because the other two fell in the river. He returns one stone at least because that's enough for them, and they figured that they knew they'd come back to save the day.
And after said saving the day, he's on. It's basically, everything was wrapping up nicely, overall.
And basically, Willie Scott mentioned she would never go on any more adventures with him again.
Which she wouldn't.
And basically, the movie ends off with a kissing scene, and you could very much tell these two are in love, but that's not going to stay for the rest of the Indiana Jones movie, am I right?
No, it won't.
And that's pretty much it, everybody. All right. So it's a brief overview, everyone.
This movie is definitely interesting. Not as good as the original, but that's only because nothing could top that one.
Well, yeah, I guess. Well, I have some different opinions about that, but that will be for a later review.
Yeah.
Anyway, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Fantastic film, in my opinion. One of the coolest ones of the three before the Crystal Skull.
Not sure why the main actress changed in between movies, but apparently that became a running joke in the Indiana Jones film series.
Well, until the original actress from the first movie reappeared in the fourth. Anyway, back to this movie. It was said that Steven Spielberg did not like working on this film, and he has actually said that he didn't like this film to begin with.
Yeah, except it still has that classic Steven Spielberg feel to it.
And George Lucas, obviously.
Yeah, because Lucas still created the character, after all. And isn't it just weird how many times Harrison Ford has worked with George Lucas's properties? And I'm not just talking about Star Wars. He started with him on American Graffiti.
Really? I didn't realize that. I always thought he started with Star Wars.
No, I didn't.
Anyway, it's a good movie. I like the action and the practical effects for 1984. Oh, and speaking of 1984, this movie came out the same year as the Gremlins film, and this actually drew out some controversy. Basically, parents back in the day were not happy that this movie was PG rating, even though we have a literal heart ripping out scene.
Well, yeah, that is more hard R.
And of course, Gremlins was also a crazy movie for a PG rating too. And these two movies, back when they were released in '84, were the site of controversy for the fact that they were very, very inappropriate for a PG movie. And parents complained.
Thus, The Last Crusade came around, and as a result, that movie became the first PG-13 rating, which
Actually,
we'll
that's
get
not
to later.
true. Actually, that's not true, but we'll talk about that in another time. And I like this movie a lot. Like I said, practical effects were good. My liking to the film was the minecart chase. I mean, it looked like a ride you'd see at Disney World.
That's because it was a ride at Disney World at one point.
Well, yeah. What do you think of this movie, Mike?
It's a good movie, Al. I mean, what do you expect, really? I mean, the minecart scene is pretty cool, and a lot of stuff over the years have wanted to mimic that, like the boulder scene back in the first movie. I mean, let's see. Club Penguin did this with the kart surfing. Scooby-Doo, Chill Out, did this. I mean, not to mention, I think Yu-Gi-Oh did something similar one time. I mean, a lot of stuff have mimicked this scene over the years. I mean, even this movie in general, Hey Arnold, the Jungle Movie, took a lot of inspiration from it, which is also Paramount.
Yeah. Well, Indiana Jones has been for, I'm not sure how long it's been on Disney. It's Disney now, okay?
This movie has been Paramount for so long, it doesn't matter. It's still Paramount, this one.
I consider all Indiana Jones movies still Paramount because the logo is in it.
Logo's still in it, and yeah, okay, 5, there won't be an excuse when that comes around, but either way, these 4 are still Paramount. I don't care if Disney has Lucasfilm. These 4 were made and distributed under Paramount.
Despite what Steven Spielberg thinks.
What does Lucas think of this movie then, Buster?
I have no idea. I just read that Steven Spielberg hated working this film and he didn't like it. He said it was his weakest Indiana Jones film. I think it's a good movie either way. I like all 4 Indiana Jones movies. Yes, I'll talk more about the 4th movie when we get to that because I understand that has a little bit of controversy too because a lot of people hate it.
And not to mention, that was the movie that really created the PG-13 rating.
Well, no, not exactly, but we'll get to that. But that's pretty much it for the Indiana Jones review. 7.5, 8 out of 10, you? I gave it an 8, yes. And join us next time when we review Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man from 2002.
Not to agree, we'll get to those later.
Yes. Well, that's it. Peace out.